Courtship of Bill Taft. Illustration shows a shy Theodore Roosevelt as John Alden talking to Priscilla Mullins, labeled Republican Party, sitting before a fireplace with spinning wheel nearby, while William H. Taft as Miles Standish stands outside the door. Teddy Doodle. Illustration shows Theodore Roosevelt's three-member fife and drum corps marching into battle. The Panic. Illustration shows a crowd of capitalists on Wall Street fleeing a volcano labeled Common Honesty erupting in the background. They are carrying packages labeled Secret Rate Schedules, Rebate Agreements, Watered Stocks, and Frenzied Accounts. The Sword of Theodore. Illustration shows the sword labeled Nomination stuck deeply into a tree with Theodore Roosevelt and Jacob Riis resting on a large branch. Roosevelt is grinning like a Cheshire cat. On the far right are standing Albert B. Cummings and Charles Evan Hughes, and on the left are several other potential candidates for the upcoming presidential election. Among them are Philander Knox, Joseph B. Foraker, Charles W. Fairbanks, Joseph G. Cannon, William H. Taft, Albert J. Beveridge, and George B. Cortelyou. Who has the strength to draw the sword out? Old Dr. Roosevelt. Wanted, able-bodied man for U.S. service, good grub, good pay, and a good home in Washington to accepted candidate. Illustration shows Theodore Roosevelt as a doctor examining Philander C. Knox as other potential candidates for the upcoming presidential election await their turn. Charles Evan Hughes, Joseph B. Foraker, Charles W. Fairbanks, George B. Cortelyou, Joseph G. Cannon, and William Loeb as a dog. William H. Taft, already examined, has a paper labeled Past TR extending from a pocket. On the wall in the background is a chart labeled The Perfect Man, showing a profile view of Roosevelt. the Martyr. This illustration shows Theodore Roosevelt with halo, bound by tape labeled Popularity Party Pressure, kneeling on a burning pyre and tied to a stake labeled Third Term. There is a crowd of onlookers in the background. Attorney General Moody is quoted as saying, "I can conceive of a situation that would compel Mr. Roosevelt, no matter how painful it might be, to accept a third term." The Congressional Vaudeville. Illustration shows President Theodore Roosevelt at the Congressional Vaudeville conducting an orchestra with a large stick labeled the Big Stick, with two band members, Eli Root and William H. Taft, performing Overture, President's Message. The Belle of the Ball. Illustration shows Theodore Roosevelt, William H. Taft, Joseph G. Cannon, Charles W. Fairbanks, and Thomas C. Platt wearing dresses for a ball. Roosevelt has selected Taft as the best belle of the ball, or the best candidate for the Republican Party in the 1908 presidential election. The Last Straw. Illustration shows the Republican elephant collapsing under the weight of Republican and/or Roosevelt policies, such as a large crown labeled imperialism, a big stick, a basket labeled odalism, a mail pouch labeled postal scandals, a box of gloves and gaunts, a large cannon labeled militarism, a question mark labeled Philippines, a disc labeled extravagance, a thick wad of papers labeled high protection, bound together by Dingley schedules, and finally, a bloated man labeled trusts.